The
Story of Honor, or a simple critique of the story of honor, by Kay Chopin. Strictly is formally critic. Let's look at how the story writing. The short, quickly sentence about how fast. Mr. Mullet's emotion changed. At first, she is sad about her husband's death, but soon she feels free. The word free, free, free are repeated to show how excited she is. The ending is a big surprise. She did when her husband is still alive. The doctor thinks she did of happiness, but no, it was because she lost her freedom. The story is carefully structurally boiled up to their twist. Realistic critic. The way of looking of the story focus on the lesson it teaches. It shows that taking away someone's freedom can hurt them. Mr. Mullet feels trapped in her marriage, even though her husband was weak. When she thought she was free, she felt purely alive. But when that freedom was tragically taken away, she could handle it and died. Then, the story teaches that freedom is important for a happy life. Marquis critic. A Marquis view of power and control. In the story, Mr. Mullet had no real power in her marriage because at the time men controlled women's life. She's dependent of her husband and did get to make her own choice. When she thought she was free and she felt happy. But when she realized she was and she did. They show how people without power can feel trapped and hopeless.
Feminist critic. A feminist critic view focus on the woman's right. Mr. Marlight lived in a time women had a few rights and had to obey their husband. Even thought their husband was not cruel, she still felt stuck in her role as a wife. When she thought she was dead, she imagined a life where she could make her own choice. The story shows how women were expected to live where others expected of themselves. The story shows how women were expected to live for others expected of themselves and how that made them unhappy. Historical critique. Looking at the history helped us understand the story better. It was written in the late 80s when women had little freedom. They could both work freely or live independently. Marriage often meant they had to follow their husband's rules. The story reflects the way many women felt at that time, trapped in their marriage with no way out.
Reader response critic. The view depends on what each reader thinks about the story. Some might feel sorry for Mr. Mallet because she had no freedom. Others might think she was selfish for feeling happy about her husband's death. Some readers might focus on the surprise ending and how shocked it is. Everyone understands the story in their own way, based on their own thought and experience.
The yellow wallpaper is simpler version of the critic for the yellow wallpaper. Structurally is formally is critic. This way of looking at the story focuses on how it's written. The yellow wallpaper itself is a big symbol. It represents the main character's mind and her feeling of being trapped. The story is told from her point of view. So we experience her thoughts as she slowly loses control. The way words and sentences repeat shows how her mind is changed. The structure of the story moved from her being quiet and object to completely breaking free, which matches the theme of losing control.
Action.
Marxist critic. From this point of view, the story is about power and money. The main character is completely dependent on her husband, which means she has no freedom. She is not allowed to work, think for herself, or even leave the house when she wants. The wallpaper can be seen as a symbol of how people who feel stuck in an unfair system. The story shows how those in power control others and don't listen to them. Feminist critic. This story is a strong message about how women were treated in the past. The main character's husband does not respect her feelings. He tells her what to do, ignores her opinion, keeps her locked away. She is not allowed to make decisions about her own health or life. The woman in the wallpaper can be seen as a symbol of all women who felt trapped by society rules. The story shows that women need freedom, respect, and the right to control their own lives. Historical critic. Looking at the history behind the story helps us understand it better. In the 180s, women with mental health problems were often treated badly. Doctors believed that women should rest and not think too much. But this actually made them worse. The story is based on the author's real experience. She was told to stop writing and rest, but it only made her feel worse. This story is a way of showing how wrong those ideas were and how women were not given the help they needed. Response critic. Different people may see the story in different ways. Some might feel sorry for the main character and understand her pain, especially if they have struggled with mental health problems. Others might see her as someone who is losing her mind and becoming dangerous. The ending is unclear. Some might see it as a sad story about madness, while others might see it as her finally escaping the control of her husband. How a person understands the story depends on their own life and feelings.
A Worn Path by Eudora Welty. Structuralists, formalists analyze the story's symbolic imagery, particularly the recurring motif of the path. Examine the story narrative structure and its use of symbolism. Moralistic. Explore the story's moral message regarding the power of love, determination, and resilience. Consider the story's celebration of the human spirit. Marxist. Analyze the story portrayal of class and power dynamics, particularly those related to race and poverty. Consider the story depiction of the struggles faced by marginalized communities. Feminists. Examine the story representation of the female protagonist, her strength, and her independence. Focus on how the story challenges or reinforces traditional gender roles. Historical. Explore the story context in the American South considering the social and cultural realities of the time. Reader response. Examine how different readers might interpret the protagonist's motivations and the story emotional impact. Discuss the story enduring relevance and its ability to connect with readers across different backgrounds and experiences.
Here's an analysis of the Great Gatsby from each of these critical perspectives. Structuralist, formalist approach. Fitzgerald employs symbolism, the green light at the eye of Daisy's duck. The green light represents Gatsby's hopes and dreams, particularly his longing for Daisy and his idealized version of the past. However, its unsustainable nature underscores the noble central theme, the illusion of the American dream. The narrative structure relies heavily on flashback, primarily through Nick's retrospective narration. The technique allows readers to piece together Gatsby's history gradually, how his past informs the present obsession. The fragment structure mirrors Gatsby's own struggle to reconcile his past with his desired future. Moralistic approach. The novel delivers a cautionary tale about the pursuit of wealth and the dream America. Gatsby amasses wealth in an attempt to win back Daisy's, yet his dream remains out of reach, highlighting the dangers of the obsessions and materialism. Fitzgerald critiques the idea that wealth equates to happiness, demonstrating how characters like Tom and Daisy, despite their influence, remain morally bankrupt and unfulfilled. Is the American dream genuinely attainable or merely a deceptive ideal? Marxist approach. The J exposes the deep class division in number America. Gatsby, despite his immense wealth, remains an outsider to the old money aristocracy, represented by Tom and Daisy Buchanan. Fitzgerald critiques the rigid social hierarchy, showing how those born into privilege manipulate and exploit those beneath them. The Valley of Ashes, a bleak industrial wasteland symbolizing the suffering of the working class, contrasting sharply with the extravagance of West Egg and East Egg. The novel suggests that the American dream, rather than being a path to success for all, primarily serves the interests of the wealthy elite.
His approach. The novel portrays women in complex but often restrict rules. Daisy Buchanan, though charming and desirable, is ultimately a figure trapper in a particle that value her beauty more than her agency. She chooses the security of wealth over Gatsby love. She chooses the security of wealth over Gatsby love, reflecting the limited choices available to women in her position. Jordan Baker, an independent and woman, challenges traditional gender roles but is still depicted as dishonest and morally ambiguous. Merit Lee Wilson, another woman who seeks to escape her social class in punish for her the novel's critical stance or gender dynamic. Overall, while the novel portrayed women as victims of doesn't little to empower them after the dependency on men. Dependency on men. Historical approach. Set during the Great Gatsby captured the spirit of the Jazz Age, a period of economic boom, social change, the moral recklessness. The novel reflects the era's material excess, as seen its Gatsby parties and the characters of leisure and status, however. Also, the moral decline of the time, the rampant greed, indefined of the elite suggests that the era's prosperity came at the cost of deeper ethical values. The novel serves as both a celebration in condemnation of the 1920s. Response approach. Different readers may interpret the Great Gatsby in varied ways. Some may see Gatsby as great hero, embodying the American dream's promise, and while others may view him as self-romantic, chasing an illusion.
Marxist approach. A Marxist analysis examines class struggles of economics, peace, and power limits capitalist economy in describes traditional system that prioritize trade, the poor, weakening the communal structure.
Feminist reading examines the role of gender and women's oppression. Historical approach. A historical reading looks at the novel's real-world context. pre-colonial Igbo society, the novel offers an in-depth portrayal of Igbo customs, governance, and belief system before European interference. Reader response approach. A reader response analysis focuses on how different audiences interpret the novel. African versus Western readers. African readers may see things fall apart as a personal and historical tragedy, while Western readers may view it as an insight into African culture.
That is the critic for the story of a night.
The Yellow Wallpaper.
A Worn Path by Eudora Welty.
The Great Gatsby.
Chinua achieved things fall apart.
Action.
That's all, thank you!